Our next speaker is Tony de Jonker. We have a couple of minutes, and in next, let me give some info about our speaker. Okay, so our next speaker is once again Tony de Jonker, who has been building and teaching financial models for nearly 4 decades. Tony helps organizations create user-friendly models using modern Excel and Power BI tools, drawing on experience that dates back to the very first commercial spreadsheets in the 1980s. He delivers practical hands-on training in English, Dutch, and German, and has shared his knowledge through hundreds of in-house and public courses worldwide. Since 2005, Tony has written a monthly Excel blog for the Dutch Controllers magazine and founded several well-known industry events, including Excel Experience Day, Excel Experts Class, and the Amsterdam Excel BI Summit. Through his teaching and community work, Tony continues to make Excel approachable, powerful, and enjoyable for professionals everywhere. I would also like to add one thing. I know that Tony is very good at Eurovision contest. I mean, some contests. I hope he will give the necessary info about it. Now, Sam, let's play our charity video, so you can take control. Thank you.
Hello.
Sorry. Charity.
How are you?
Hi, how are you?
Can you hear me?
Hello and welcome. I'm Ilgar Zarbaliev, and on behalf of Some Product, Microsoft, the MVPs, and other technology experts, welcome to Excel Virtual Global 2025. And remember, it's for charity. Now you may have looked around our website already, but I'm not sure. You have notes all the words, so let me take a moment to run a few past you. Microsoft's most valuable professionals, or MVPs, are technology experts who passionately share their knowledge with the community. They are always on the bleeding edge and have an unstoppable urge to get their hands on new, exciting technologies. This virtual conference, now in its 11th year, presents Excel, data platform, and PowerPoint MVPs, together with other acknowledged experts from Microsoft and or around the globe to present, answer questions, and demonstrate the future of Excel and how it will make your life easier, both personally and professionally. Most sessions will be recorded, so you may watch them later, with downloads aplenty. There are no medals for staying up to watch the entire event live. From your own favorite chair, bring a laptop and an inquisitive mind and your sense of humor. Be prepared to learn heaps. And remember, it's for charity. The presenters have all kindly donated their time to make these as informative and entertaining an event as possible. Therefore, we would be grateful if you could make a donation to a charity of your choice and advise us in US dollars how much you pledged, as we would love to keep track and keep you updated. This is an honest thing. Whatever you do, it will simply be between you and your consciousness. So, if you would like to tell us what you have actually donated, please could you use the QR code on the screen now or type in the bit.ly link at the bottom. Remembering it's case sensitive, that's bit.ly/EVG2025 charity. Thanks for listening and enjoy Excel Virtual Global 2025.
Now I will send Tony on the screen right now. Hi, Tony. You can start sharing.
Can you hear me?
Yep, loud and clear.
Okay,
Yes.
good. So it's a very good morning from my side from Kuala Lumpur. So, can I start my presentation? Okay. Hello, everybody, and welcome to my session. Can you hear me?
Share the screen yet.
I'm going to share my screen now. Just a second, I'm going to share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, good. So welcome everybody. My name is Tony Jonker, and this is Excel Virtually Global 2025. Well, for most people, we are virtually going across the globe, but actually I'm also physically going across the globe. My hometown is The Hague, Scheveningen, The Hague, next to the beach. And well, this week I'm busy here in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, to teach people about advanced possibilities in Excel and Power BI. So it's already very early for me in the morning. I'm going to talk today about the budgeting tools for the financial professional. When we are going to create budgets, there are several challenges ahead of us. First of all, we need to collect data. And the data is not always in a table or maybe not construed in a good fashion. Then we need to allocate those data to future periods, future months, future years, future weeks. How to do that? Another thing is we need to adhere to the shifting timelines. Our budget will start next month or maybe in 2 months' time. And then we want to see what the outcome is for the next 9 months or 7 months. So we're talking about shifting timelines. Then we have the possibilities knowing what the impact is of different variables. An increase may take place on a certain date or certain dates. How will that affect the numbers in future months? Last point is we want to summarize the data. So all these challenges, I will face them with you today in a few practical examples. And we're going to use a few of those modern tools in Excel, old and new, so to speak. For example, we're talking about tables. We're going to work with dynamic arrays. Maybe if you've not seen dynamic arrays in action, you will see them today. How to create a dynamic timeline. How to create parameter sheets. And if we have time, we show you a bit also on how to use Power Query and pivot tables and charts. Okay, let's go over to my example now. Okay, here we have, let's say, some projects. Project number 1, 2, etc., 3. It has a starting date, it has an end date, and it has an amount. First of all, please be noted that this has been formatted as a table. And you know how to format as a table. You choose Home, and you go to Styles and Format as Table. Then you can select the color, and once that's done, you can choose under Table Design a name. The name is here Projects. If you don't like this color, of course, you can choose a different color if you want. So a person responsible for keeping up with these projects can keep up this table, so to speak. He can add new project numbers, new starting dates, new end dates, etc. Our challenge now is to see what the allocation will be in the coming months in the new sheet. So data is only there to keep the input. No formulas are available on this sheet. In the sheet allocation, we want to show again all the project numbers, start date, end dates, and the amounts, but then we need to see what the impact is for the coming months. In my sheet parameters, I have sheet parameters, always create a sheet parameter to keep as a placeholder for all your variables. I started with the following variables: start year, start month, number of months. Now, start year is, for example, 2025, and let's start with the month of 12, which is December. and I want to have an outlook of 4 months, but it could also be 6 months ahead. Now, all of these variables have a name, a range name. So how do you create range names? It means that this cell here, I'll show you on the view headings. So the cell C4 will have the name start year. As you can see in my name box, it has the name start year. The cell C5 has the name start month. So how do you assign names now to these cells? Very simple. You highlight this range over here and select from the menu formulas, and under define names you choose create from selection. Left column, left of column C. So when you open the name box, you will see those names appearing over there. Another way of looking at your range names is under formulas, define names, name manager. And you can see those names appearing as well. For example, we see here the start month refers to, click over there, click, and then you see the running ends. Start year, for example, here, parameter C4, click over there, click, and it will go to that cell. You can also get rid of names if you don't need them anymore, or give it a different name. Now, the reason why I use names is I will use them in my allocation sheet so the formulas become more transparent. By the way, the color scheme that I've used is pointing out that I'm using inputs. I will use this style, home, styles, cell styles, input. Well, so you know this color means inputs. There are also cell styles for calculated cells. It will have a different color. If you don't like this color, take another color if you want. This is just to designate which variables are input variables, which variables are, let's say, calculate variables. Now let's go over now to allocation. So I have had a project number, start date, end date. And how do I get these items in here? Some people might argue, oh, you can copy everything from here to here. Yeah, you can do that. But of course, then we don't have any link with the data source. If somebody would add some new items over here, they need to copy that again to allocation. And the purpose of it is not to do any manual interventions here. So I'll show you what you need to do. You type equal sign. Now go to the data source. Now bring your mouse on the top of the edge of the column where it says project number. You will see the white cross changes into a black arrow pointing downwards vertically. So just click. As you can see, it will pick up all the record numbers, excluding the header. And in the formula bar, you will see the following formula, which is the name of the table, which is projects, and between square brackets, the name of the column header. So click enter. And you see what happens now. It automatically brings over all of the data points in allocation sheet. Wow, this is your first dynamic formula, ladies and gentlemen. So the formula is now in B7 here, and guess what? It's already spreading out towards the other cell coordinates. As you can see, B8 has the same formula, B9 has the same formula, but it's actually grayed out. So the formula lives only in B7. Also, mind you, you will see a blue border, a blue rectangular border, meaning that this is a dynamic array formula, as it's officially called. So please let it sink in. It means that if I enter a new project number over here, it will automatically appear here in this range. Now the same I will do with start date, equal sign, go to data, Bring your mouse on top of the edge here, the header, click, press enter, and there it is. Same with end date. Bring it over here, click. So some people don't like using the mouse, but then you have to type in the name of the table yourself. So sometimes you need a mouse and sometimes you need a shortcut key. I'm not the one who says you never should use a mouse. In most instances, in this case, a mouse is very handy to have a mouse there. Amount equals the numbers over here. Mind you, I already pre-formatted the range over here to have those date formats. The same here. I already pre-formatted the range here to have your format over there. So you need to make sure that you already pre-formatted the range for a particular number of rows that you will need to hold your records. So I built now 1, 2, 3, 4 formulas, so to speak, very simple formulas. This is like a reference formula. And now we need to know and build a shifting timeline. In our parameters, we told you we will start in, what is this, December 2025. And we want to have 6 months ahead. I'm going to build now a helper line, a helper row that provides us the 6 months. And to do so is we have to use a formula, dynamic array formula called sequence equal sign SEQ. There's a sequence double click over there, click, click, click on the FX over there. When you do so, the dialog box will open and it will help you to complete the formula. So we're building now a range, in this case, a row of numbers. So how many rows do we want to create? 1 row. How many columns? Well, that is mentioned in my parameters, which is number of months, which is actually 6 columns. We will start with the number 0 and we'll step 1 forward. It will then create 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Click OK. See what it does? It automatically creates now a range of numbers in horizontal order. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And have you noticed this is also a dynamic range, dynamic formula, because of the blue border. So the formula lives here in cell F3. And as you can see, G3, H3 has the same formula, but it's grayed out. The formula itself does not particularly do something for us, but the trick of it is we're now building the different time zones, the different months here, and they need to be dynamic as well. It will then become dynamic once I'm going to refer it to the sequence row. So my start date should be then December, let's say the 1st of December 2025. The one that I have entered here as a start here, start month. How do I create a date here then? Well, as you probably have noticed, we're going to use the date function for that one, dates. Double click. Affix, as you can see, I'm a proponent of using the formula wizard or the function wizard because it really helps me to understand the different portions of the formula that I need to enter. Besides that, it will also open and close the brackets for me. I don't have to think about the brackets anymore. Also, it will also create the commas, the separator arguments. Well, in the United States, it's a comma, as in most countries, but in Europe, it's not a comma, it is a semicolon. I don't have to think about the semicolons or commas. Now, what is the year? Well, the year, of course, here, the start here over there. It has a name, so I won't see parameter C4, but just the name of the cell, the start here. The month is here, the 12th, and the day is number 1. As you can see, the formal result in the 1st of December 25. Okay. In the old days, I had to do some magic stuff to copy this all the way to the right-hand side and have to think of how to do that. For now, it's not that difficult. What we do is the following. In the form itself, I'm going to add behind the start month plus 0 months. So in this case, we're still in start month 12. But now I put a hashtag behind the F3. As you can see, once I'm going to type the hashtag, it's going to refer to the whole sequence row. Just press enter, and presto, you've created the next dynamic horizontal range of starting dates per month. Ooh. So this means this cell over here will add 1 month to the start month. This one will add 2 months to the start month, etc. So what's the end date then? Yeah, we know the end date should be 31st of December, etc. How do we create this? Well, normally we choose end of month for that, but there are certain functions in Excel that do not really work well with dynamic arrays. So I will do the following now. I will use again the date function here, the date function, fx. Again, the year will be start here. The month will be the 12th, so that one. But I will add up then plus 1 month added to it, and the day will be 0. Ooh. You see what happens here? Start month was 12, plus 1 is 13. And of course, Excel doesn't know any month number 13, so it goes back to 12. And 0 day means the last day of the month, so it returns the 31st of December 25. So that's actually a replacement of using an end of month. Okay, so how do we get this thing now going on to the right-hand side? Well, again, the same story here. I'm going to add up here plus the 0 months or whatever is up above and hashtag. Press enter, and now it finds the last day of each month here. As you can see, also the 28th of February, 26th, etc. Really nice. Now, this one as a header, just for optical view, equal sign, the 1st of December over there, hashtag, and I will see basically actually the 1st of December, but it's formatted differently. So we see December 25, January 26, etc. So we've created here vertical dynamic columns, so to speak. Then horizontal rows, helper row, to create the different time buckets, start date and date for each month. Now comes the big trick, of course. We need to allocate the amounts. In this case, the amount of 5,502 euros. As you can see, the start date was the 1st of January, ending 1st of March. So this amount should only be seen here until here, basically. So 5,502 here, here, and here, and then 0. Yeah, how do we do that? Well, you might think of like an if-and function, something like that. But when you are encountering such a question, you first need to make sure that you need to know what the conditions are. In this case, the start date here of the project here, the 1st of January 2025, must begin before the start date of the particular time bucket here. That's the first condition. And the second condition is that the end date of the time bucket here should be in front of the end date, before the end date. So two conditions must apply. If both will apply, then we will see the amount. So you could build like an if-and function. But some people find it quite difficult, if-and. You can also put every condition between brackets as follows. Opening brackets. So I'm saying the start date of this project here must lie before the start date of the timeline. So the 1st of December. Okay, closing brackets. So if that's true, this becomes a 1. If it's not true or false, it becomes a 0. We multiply it, which is the end, basically. Opening then. End date of the timeline over here must lie before the end date of the project here, closing brackets. So if that is true, then it becomes a 1. And we multiply it in the end by the amount over here. So this is then the formula, not using any if or and. It's called the Boolean algebra method, using actually the binary method. You are a 1 or a 0. So this is actually quite simple, but of course in the normal method of Excel, not using any dynamic formulas, you cannot just copy this formula to the right-hand side, and down below you have to think about the dollar signs again. In this case, you had to think about the C7. You want to keep the C7. You want to keep the column, so and it must be like $C7. F4, you had to fix the row, so F $4, F $5, $D7, E7. It's normally how you should do it. And then you need to copy the formula all the way to the right-hand side and all the way down. What would happen if we have new records appearing in my date table? Then, of course, I had to copy the formula for as many rows as we have new records appearing on the left-hand side. Well, of course, we don't want to do that. We want to keep everything neatly and dynamic. So here comes the rescue. Behind every cell corner, just put a hashtag. Hashtag, as you see, once you type the hashtag, it automatically finds the whole range. So I will do that now. With all of these instances, I will type a hashtag behind every cell coordinate. And press enter. Guess what? There we have it. Wow. And as you have noticed, now it creates this rectangular area, this range. So the forms are going to the right-hand side and are going to the vertical side. Why? Because it's referencing cell coordinates that are part of a dynamic range, both vertically and horizontally. So therefore, it can create a whole rectangle. Second point of your attention is that we do not need any dollar signs here. That's also an advantage. Okay, so let's see if we now can add some new data over here. So let's say project number 09 starts on the 26 here, and it goes on then to 1126 for 10,000. So there it is. Now let's go over to allocation. Do I need to do any refreshments like in pivot tables? No, it's already there. Wow. Just like that. So we see that's how we can do it. And of course, if I get rid of it here again, then it's not there anymore. It's an empty one. So I need to get rid of the whole row here, basically. Delete table rows. And as you can see, the table is now back to the original position, and that row is gone now. Okay, though. As you can see, they're not correct here. The 1st of March should basically here start over here. Why is that? I think we have to type in equal sign here as well, not smaller than, also equals, I guess. Equal sign, enter. See? We forgot about the equal sign, so now this is correct. It starts on the 1st of March, it's a start for the 1st of March brackets, etc. Here it ends on the 1st of March, so these ones should be empty. Now this is the correct formula then. So now we build a dynamic allocation table and showing then the cost per project for the next coming months. Okay, what's the total per month then? Yeah, you could say, okay, I'm going to use a sum formula like, sum from here to, I don't know, until 5,000. Yeah, you can do that, but it's not dynamically. And you cannot use sum and then click over here and use hashtag, because the hashtag will show you the whole summarization of all the numbers here. That's all we want. We want to know the sum by column. How to do that? Well, we're going to use the by column fx. The array starts here in F7, hashtag F7 and anything down below. What's the function? We want to do the sum, SUM. Or if you want to do the average, EVG. Okay, and there we have it. Wow. As you can see, we now see the totals by month for each and every one of those columns. So in the end, we only created then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 unique formulas. The other cells are just relatives, so to speak, of the original mother formulas. Now, this is, of course, very new, maybe for most of you, but as a matter of fact, I've been told that these dynamic arrays already existed, I think, since 2020 or so. There are already 5 years on the market, but few people are now getting to know the possibilities of dynamic arrays. I'm building now many of these type of budget models using dynamic arrays. You can imagine that this is for projects. Of course, you can start one with, your productions with customers, etc. So always make sure that you have a data sheet containing just the plain data. And of course, you can have one for projects, but if you have, you can also have the next one here. But I guess what you want to do is maybe this project could be a result of maybe a Power Query. A Power Query that imports all different project sheets from different budget holders or different locations. So just imagine that we had maybe 100 budget holders worldwide. They would fill in their own sheet with the projects. Some will have 10 lines, some will have 5 lines. And Power Query would then be able to go to the directory where all the different files were sitting in and append those files. And this would be then the result of all those projects, which will then be allocated immediately here on this sheet. Now, this is really an important thing to see, because from here we can go even further. For now, I will show you another model that's more difficult, but more or less the same base, the same setup. So now we have here, so we did the dynamic arrays. We have the functions like sequence, but there are many more other functions that can be used in dynamic arrays. We use filter, unique, sort, by call, by row, and remember the hashtag. Now let's go over to another example, which is a more difficult one. Let's say we have an employee table here, different employee with salaries, monthly salaries, full-time salary, that is, start date and end date, employee number, department, and the weekly hours that they work. So some might work 38 hours, some might work 24 hours. Now, the salary budget that I create looks like this. Ooh, many columns over there. Instead of creating a parameter sheet for this purpose, I put all parameters here on this side here, so we can see everything already, the ones that we need. So we start date here, and we'll start. So this will start on the 1st of January 2026, and date of year is then not, let's say the 1st of January 2027. It will stop. We will have 2 increases here, one on the 1st of November 25, one on the 1st of July 26. First increase will be 3% or whatever. Increase number 2 will be 3% or whatever. And the weekly hours that people should work, which is regarded as full-time, as 38 hours. Now, the first columns here, they are just the same ones that we saw already. So this is the table is called table employees. So pick up the data from our master table, so to speak. Now, some employees may not have an end date over there because they're still working as an employee. And what I'll do here is I will create an alternative date of employment, because we need to have a date of end of employment. We cannot just use 0, like 0 January 1900. So this one will say if F12 is 0, so if employment date is 0 here, then use then the 1st of January 2100, a day far away in the future. Plus, if F12 is greater than 0, then of course you can use the date and the year, which is in F12. The weekly hours is also from our master table. Part-time percentage can be calculated is then the weekly hours divided by the weekly hours that is regarded as full-time. So some people work 100%, some will work less. Now then we have a lot of helper tables, ladies and gentlemen. Going from the full-time monthly salary before increases to full part-time monthly salary after increase and before allocations, all the way down to part-time annual salary after increase and after allocations. And then we have several helper columns here. Now, this was quite interesting to do because there are several possibilities, and in the beginning you may think it might not be that difficult, but before we do so, I need to have a good overview of what the possibilities are. So I've draw up this picture here. So we're living now in the year of 2025 in our instance here. So we have past years. We're looking at the budget year of 2026 and we have future years. Here are the point in times where we have the increase of 3%. But you remember, those point in times can change. So for now, according to our variables, it will start here on the 1st of November 25 and on the 1st of July 26 with 3%, but they may differ and may change. So an employee could already be in service, could already be employed before 2025, and then he will stay as long as he will go. So in this case, he will have then 6 months with the new increase number 1 and 6 months with increase number 2. Second possibility is he will stop working here after the second increase, or he will stop working before the second increase, or will start service after the first increase and stay in service. So if you then look at all the possibilities, you will see that we will have 8 possibilities. Yeah. And for each of the possibilities, you will have to see how many months will be recorded for against a certain salary, only with the first increase or including the second increase. Well, all these helper codes will do that actually. I will not go through all of the formulas in detail, but these are quite simple formulas to, for example, take then the full-time monthly salary for increase times the part-time percentage, and then 1 plus the increase number 1. This is then that row of that column salary after first increase plus 1 plus increase number 2. And then we have the different conditions here. Date of employment is before the start date year. Date of employment is between start date and year. And so we have the different possibilities here. And we're working here again with you are either true or not true. So it's a 1 or a 0. So these are conditions, so to speak, to see how many months are applying for this one. Now this is a longer form, the number of months. As you can see, those are my 8 possibilities. I use the Alt Enter key to see all my 8 possibilities. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So for each of the possibilities, I have to tell the system which is the correct formula. I use a date difference to calculate the difference between start of month and end of month, start date and end date, so to speak. The M means month. So each of these different possibilities should be checked. Times, so multiply means end. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All the 6 possibilities are checked out here. If you're a 1 here, 0 there, then you should do this. If it was like this order sequence, then you need to do that. The plus means or, and the multiplication means and. And remember, I use the hashtag here, so those formulas are automatically spelled down vertically. Same story here. So then we have the total of months, and then we can basically take the number of months here times the appropriate salaries. So this is a real model from practice, so to speak. And in the beginning, you might say, oh, it might not be that difficult, but in the end, you had to show all the possibilities. Because otherwise, if you miss a possibility, then the answer is not correct. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, this is what I wanted to show you today. The power and possibilities of Power, the power of, I would say Power Query, but it's not Power Query, it's the power of dynamic arrays. Now, what about Power Query? can we use Power Query? Well, let's suppose here in this instance here, in the projects here, let's suppose you would like to use this in a pivot table later on, because this cannot be used maybe for graphs. It's a bit difficult to use any graphing on this one here. So then if I would be able to, let's say, convert this into a long table. But yeah, this is not a table. Huh? You know, if you want to use Power Query, this should be a table. But if I change this into table, you know what happens if I change it into table? Then I do not have the advantage of the dynamic arrays. And so you cannot use dynamic arrays in combination with tables. Also, if you use a table, the formulas in the header will be gone. So how can I transfer this now into Power Query? Well, you have to work with a dynamic range name. People working with Excel a long time ago, they know how to create a range name. Use offset to create a dynamic range name. An offset is a function that uses 5 arguments. You need to start with a start point. The start point is always the left upper corner of your table. Then how many rows do we want to go down below? Actually, we don't want to go down below, so rows will be 0. How many columns to the right? Well, we don't want to go to the right, so columns will be 0. The height of the table can be found by using the count A. The width of the table can also be found using the count A. So how would that work out now for my table here? Let's create such a name. Formulas. Define name. Now let's give the name, for example, data salary. Sorry, projects is it? Data projects.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we're using the offset function, ladies and gentlemen. Offset, starting here on the left corner. And then 0 rows down below, 0 columns to the right. The height can be found using the count A, count the numbers or arguments in, let's say, column C. And then count A, count the number of arguments in row number 6. Close brackets, okay. So, sorry. Then we go to check it out, formulas, define name or name manager. Here's name manager. And there's data projects that you see. Here's the formula. If you click over here, you'll see the whole range over there. Now, this range we can use in Power Query as follows. Data, get data from other sources, blank query. Now we go into over to Power Query.
DW.
Yes? Sorry? Are you?
Sorry.
Okay, so we go to Power Query. Now in Power Query, nothing to be seen yet. We're going to type in the formula bar equals Excel dot current workbook, opening brackets, closing brackets, enter. That brings up all of the range names, table names you can find in our model. And of course, the one that we need is actually data projects. So I'm going to select now only data projects. Okay. Double click on the double arrow. No original column names over there. Okay. And as you can see, this is a table. And we could now say that the ones in row number 1 could be our header. So transform those first row as headers. There it is. Now we need to keep project number, and do we need the start date? Yeah, maybe we want to keep the start date. We want to keep the end date. Now, and we actually, before we do so, we don't need to know the amount anymore. We need to know the project number maybe, and start it, end it. Don't really need it. So let's check it out. Home, choose columns. So we will need have project number there. No start date, no end date, no amount, no data projects. The rest we will keep. Okay. And now we're gonna unpivot all stuff. Right click, unpivot other columns. Attribute, split by column, by delimiter, and it will be a space. Okay. So this is then my date. Choose columns. We don't need now the attribute number 2. And attribute 1 will be my date. Date. And this is then the value or amount. Okay, we don't need the zeros over there. So no zeros over there. And there we have it. Now this one could be query 1. Yeah, so which is actually summary projects. Huh? Let's call it like that. Close load 2. Well, I don't want to see the table, so close load to ... And create a pivot table report in a new worksheet. Oh, this sounds familiar, right? Click on the amount. Right click over there. Number format. Accounting. 0 decimals. Euros. Okay. Then we want to see the project numbers over here in rows. And there we have it. So this is one view. If you want report layout, shown form. And if you want, you can have some space over here. Some space over here. And you can also have a slicer for your date. Well, not a slice actually. I want to keep that to other types of dimensions. I want to select a timeline for the date. That's better. Timeline. So there it is, timeline. And you can make selections here, August, etc. So this is one view that you can create, and of course, you can also have the dates bring over into the columns, and it looks like this then. Maybe you don't want to see the quarters. Double click over here, double click over there, and there you have it. Another allocation. Cell styles, title. So, and of course, if things are going to change in my data source here, of course, I need to press data refresh all to have it here as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is my contribution for today. I hope you enjoyed this. Should you have any... more questions, you can send me an email over here. And my email is a.de.jonker@kpnmail.nl.
Thank you very much, Tony, for your wonderful session. We have a couple of questions. One says that what's the biggest change you have seen in how people use Excel for modeling since you first started in the 1980s? So that's the first question.
Mm-hmm. Well, of course, the biggest change was, of course, first of all, pivot tables. And since the last year, obviously, the dynamic arrays in combination with Power Query. For my new assignment now, I will work mostly again with Power Query and with the dynamic arrays. That really saves a lot of work. Most people working with companies never heard of it, so they are still working as Excel 30 years ago. So I still have my trainings to do to keep them up to speed using the new features in Excel.
Perfect. And we have the second question. It's also about Excel community. It says that of all the Excel events you have founded, which moment or idea stands out as most rewarding in growing the Excel community?
Oh, maybe I don't have it. Most people, the younger generation has, of course, their YouTube videos, etc. I'm from a different generation, obviously. Not to say that I've never created any videos. Of course, I've created videos, but it's not done by me personally. I'm not holding the camera. I mean, somebody holds the camera and they create the videos for me. But I write a lot of blogs here in the Netherlands for trade magazines, and I also help upcoming artists, Excel artists, to help with their modeling. People who are also like me, who are self-employed. They start with a model, they don't know how to continue, then they have contact with me, and then I help them to the next steps. And of course, once in a while, I'm also involved with the different events. In the previous decade, I used to do all of these events, the Amsterdam Excel Summit, Excel Experience Day. After Corona, of course, it died out, so to speak. And of course, some new people have taken over now. We have the London Experience, and of course, Sofia next week in Sofia, also a big event. Also attended that one as a speaker a few years ago. But who knows? Maybe next year I'm going to start out with some new events as well. We'll see about that one.
That would be great. I know that Amsterdam Excel Summit was the first one before Slovenian one and Bulgarian one.
Yeah.
And I remember about it. And by the way, I hope you remember we have met in Hague, in your city,
Sure,
at the beach of
absolutely,
North Sea. That was perfect. And your country is really beautiful, wonderful. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Have a nice day.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
So I'm see you in next Excel virtual global event. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.